Ah, Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. All children's laughter and smiles. And if you ignore the corporate greed, significant issues with the creator, criminally low wages, baking heat, unbearable crowds, your bank account dying, the creepily, overly happy characters, possible food poisoning, I'm sure it does come close to being the happiest place on earth. But what do I know? I've never been there. But what I do know is the persistent myth that no one ever dies at Disneyland. So how true is that? But before we begin, we post death and dying related videos every Friday. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, consider subscribing to the channel. Now let's talk dying at Disneyland. As I just said, I've never been to any Disney amusement park, and consequently, I didn't realize that there was more than one version, or that people spend an entire week at an amusement park. I knew they were in different countries, yes, but not that there was a Disney World and a Disneyland. Seriously, they couldn't have just put Disney with the location? So I know some of you will be aware of all this, so feel free to skip this part. But for the rest of us, let's just do a quick look on who's who and where's where. This is from the Disney website. In total, 12 Disney theme parks make up the 6 Disney resorts in North America, Europe and Asia, and every park offers its own unique blend of entertainment, imagination and adventure. So this is a map where the resorts are located. The California location has 2 parks, Florida location has 4, Tokyo has 2 parks, Paris has 2 parks, Hong Kong and Shanghai each have 1 park. Florida may actually have more than 4 parks if you count the water parks, but it really depends on which Disney website you look at. But the important part for this video is the US parks. The ones in California are Disneyland, the ones in Florida are Disney World. If you need a fun way to remember this and you're not from the US, remember the old meme that says the US views Florida in the same way as the world views the US. Apologies to my lovely US viewers. Right, with that piece of admin sorted, onto the death part. What started the myth? So by all accounts, the no one dies at Disneyland myth is really directed at the US parks because it's become a part of American pop culture. Everything that happened to create the myth came from events that occurred at the US parks. So how did the myth start? Well, let's travel back to 1981 California, and keep in mind, smartphones and social media were not a thing back then. Nor was the internet. Come to think of it, neither was I. So on the evening of March 7th, 1981, a Southern California aerospace manufacturing company had hired the park out for a private party with about 10,000 tickets distributed for the event. Amongst this massive crowd was 18-year-old Mel C. Zorba, whose father worked at the manufacturing company. Near the Matterhorn bobsled ride, a bit of a slap in the face there to Switzerland there, Zorba crossed paths with 28-year-old James O'Driscoll, who was attending the party with his girlfriend. At some point, his girlfriend told O'Driscoll that a strange man had pinched her. Now this was all the way back in the 80s, and we have no proof for or against this happening, and if it did happen, we don't even know if it was Zorba that did it. But I would still say that O'Driscoll needed some anger management, as the rabid alpha male here decided the most appropriate course of action was to get into a fight with Zorba and stab him in the heart. It is said that security guards rushed to the scene and found Zorba bleeding to death. And this is where things get a bit dicey for the park's reputation. According to media reports, Zorba may have been bleeding for as long as 20 minutes, remember, stabbed through the heart, before the monumentally stupid and selfish decision was made that instead of calling 911, they would pick Zorba up, put him into a Disneyland van accompanied by 2 security guards and the nurse, and without lights and sirens or even life-saving equipment, the van drove through the city streets to a hospital in Garden Grove. Notably, they deliberately went past 2 trauma centers which were better equipped to handle a stabbing. An Orange County coroner would later find that Zorba was already in cardiac arrest when he finally arrived at the hospital. Now the public were pissed when this came out. And remember, this was before the internet and all that, so finding things out was a lot harder. Both the Anaheim Fire Department and Orange County's Office of Emergency Medical Services went public with their frustrations, which is a big deal considering that this was a city where the government tends to align itself with the most powerful corporation in town. Martell Thompson, the Anaheim Fire Department's chief of operations, told the Los Angeles Times, "We've been talking to people at Disneyland about this for years. Something like this is pretty hard to swallow, especially when we had a station just 1 minute away. Our medical unit was 3 minutes away. Another fire official said about a previous medical incident at the park. We went and talked to them, and the city of Anaheim tried. We didn't get anywhere. They, Disneyland, decided the paramedics and the hoopla that comes with it would upset the tenor of the park. Another said, Disneyland's reluctance to summon paramedics was based on the fear that their arrival would mar the park's image. Now, no doubt, a homicide at the happiest place on earth is not a good look. But even back in the 80s, companies had bounced back from much worse incidents. If you have created a solid, reputable company, it should be able to withstand something like this happening, because it wasn't the park's fault that some insecure twat decided to stab someone else was the best course of action. They could have easily have bounced back from that if they had simply acted appropriately and got the paramedics in. But they didn't. And not only that, they also didn't take him to the closest trauma place for help. I'm sure they thought what they were doing was logical, but in the same way that someone is hallucinating says what they are seeing is real. It is for them, but no one else can see it. Continuing the myth. So that's where the myth is assumed to have started from. But that alone is not what has kept the myth going all these years. And if you're like me and you're thinking, but people have died at these parks, this is where technicalities play a big part in this myth. The question really should be, has anyone legally died at a Disney park? Confused? Follow me. Let's give a more common example away from these parks. Say you are up a ladder cleaning out the gutters, you fall off the ladder, crack your noggin on the driveway. Paramedics are called, they come, they do CPR and take you away in the ambulance. While driving there, your breathing stops, heart stop, brain stop. You're dead. They can keep up with CPR all they like, and as they're legally required to do in most places, but you are still dead. But you are not declared legally dead until a doctor has declared and signed off on it. And your butt isn't seeing a doctor until it gets to the hospital. So actually dead, brain, heart stop. Legally dead, doctor declares. Yep, context is a bitch. So Disney can absolutely not claim that no one has physically died in their parks. Absolutely not. But because a medical doctor is not on staff at the parks, the only way for a patron to legally be declared dead by a doctor is for them to be transported to hospital. So the myth is that it is park policy that a patron never be declared legally dead on their property. Disney has never said yes or no to this myth. All we have to go on is the various staff accounts, which could be true, but people have also been known to lie for clicks. But if it is true that it's official policy, what does that mean for the patrons? What is their procedure now? Not being able to legally declare someone dead on company property is not unusual. If a gardener has a heart attack and dies on school grounds, he also won't be declared dead until he gets to a hospital and a doctor declares it. There's nothing unethical about that part in all of this. What everyone wants to know is, if it is official policy by Disney, what does that mean on a practical level? If you're having a heart attack, are they going to call paramedics, or are they going to stretcher you off and leave you on the sidewalk just off park property? The practical implementation of company policies can go in many different directions depending on company integrity, but that's a topic for a different channel. Now, there is no official document up on Disney websites to tell you what will happen in a crisis, nor have they spoken about it. This is not necessarily bad. Some info would go a long way in reassuring patrons, but in today's day and age with random shooters and terrorism, they also can't be giving out all their plans. But from everything I could find, here's what would happen if Bob was having a heart attack in a Disneyland park. The closest member of staff, usually one of the characters, would very discreetly let a security guard know of a patron in distress. The security guard would stay with Bob while calling the park EMTs and making sure no crowds formed around Bob. No word on whether Bob's scream of oh God, my heart would be muffled at this point. EMTs quickly roll up from within the park. Now at this point, in case you're not aware of the difference of paramedics and EMTs, EMTs are first responders who have significant first aid training. They are often employed for events like concerts and fairs or activities like amusement parks. Paramedics have much more extensive training and are qualified to perform more advanced and specialized procedures and are the backbone of the ambulance system. Which would be one of the reasons that they get really pissed off when you call them out for a stubbed toe or to take you to a doctor's appointment. because that is not the definition of an emergency. Seriously, don't be a prick and do that. Breathe, moving on. Okay, back to Bob. The EMTs have driven up in their golf cart and are giving him first aid, and an ambulance has been called for. Now in this instance, it is not up to the EMTs if Bob goes to hospital, it's up to the paramedics who are on their way. But Disney will not allow an ambulance to be seen by the public, but contrary to popular belief, they are allowed on the property. Here's another side note. So all Disney parks have an extensive network of underground tunnels. In order to make everything look perfect above ground, all the day-to-day stuff needs to take place somewhere. These tunnels allow for food service, electrical operations, waste removal, delivery, the costume department, and lockers and cafeterias for costume staff. Cast members navigate the tunnels on foot or by golf cart to get where they need to go. Petrol-powered vehicles are not allowed in these tunnels with the exception of armoured cash pickup trucks and ambulances. So Bob will be taken on a stretcher by the EMT golf cart through the park, through the tunnels, and out to the ambulance. The paramedics in the ambulance will assess the patient and in the case of Bob's heart attack, take him to hospital. And for your peace of mind, I'm sure our hypothetical Bob is doing just fine. And for those of you who think this is a bit of a faff and they should just allow the ambulance in, have you ever driven one or been to an amusement park or seen one try to drive through a crowd? Believe me, unless the patient is right next to the gate, it will be so much quicker for the golf cart to get the patient to the ambulance than vice versa. Spreading ashes. As a fun side note to this video, we all hear about people wanting to spread their cremains or their loved ones' cremains around the Disney parks. This has been a persistent issue for Disney. So let's be clear. Disney has rules against this which you agree to by purchasing a ticket which includes all those pesky T's and C's. And we've spoken about scattering cremains a number of times on this channel. You must always get permission to scatter cremains on private property. In many places, that is the law, and it's also called, not being a dick. So Disney doesn't want you to. Now, various reports have stated that Disney considers cremains a biohazard, which they're not, but they have protocols in place to treat them as such. Which means if you pour grandma throughout the Haunted Mansion ride, they will need to shut that ride down and perform a biohazard clean, which takes a very long time, so you have just shut down that ride for everyone else that day. It also means that grandma won't be spending eternity in the Haunted Mansion, but instead in a vacuum cleaner. Also, Disney has cameras everywhere, and I mean everywhere. So you will be caught and thrown out, and many have been banned completely from the parks. And even if you just want to pour out Aunt Helen onto the rose bushes, it's still illegal to do so without permission. You're not special, princess, don't do it. Each year, around 56 million people die around the world, and each year 58 million people visit Disneyland. So even if one person died there each year, that's still not a bad stat. The myth that no one dies at Disney is just that, a myth. At worst, a technicality. What they did back in the 80s was unforgivable, but they have learned and they have come up with the times. Probably not out the goodness of their heart, but nevertheless, if you're going to have a stroke, they're not going to leave you out on the pavement somewhere. And with that, go talk death.